Okay, so let's finish up with part two of how religious programming has influenced addictive behavior and how perhaps some of those behaviors are still outplaying in your life. Now, I said this is part two. If you have not listened or viewed part two, whether you're listening to it on your podcasting platforms or if you're watching Unleashed Alchemy on the YouTube channel, please go back and view and or listen to part one. Part one is going to give you context, all right? And it's going to remind you that when I say that some of those addictive behaviors that we talked about in part one could be out still playing out in your life, that is not a judgment, okay? Because remember, you got judgment when you were still attached to religion. But now you are divine. You know that you are divine, and there is no room for self judgment. There is only room for acknowledgement and alchemy. All right, so let's get into part two. So, how do you transcend beyond that consciousness when you have found the blind spots of how religious programming is still operating in your life and how that is showing up in addictive behaviors? All right. How do you transcend it? The first thing to do, this is going to sound so simple because it is. You have to go internal. Yeah, you have to go internal. Stop looking to the outside of you. Remember, you did that enough when you were going to church. You gave your power away. But now, because you have reconnected with your own divinity, you are reclaiming your divinity. You are reclaiming your power. So you're reclaiming your internal. You're reclaiming your embodiment as a sovereign being. So go internal first. Now, this first question when you're doing this, when you're going internal, you're going to ask yourself some questions, all right? First question is this. And when I say first, second, third question, doesn't mean you have to ask in that order. These are just questions, all right, that you can use during your meditation time, during, or even, when you're going to bed. Because trust me, when you're asking your soul questions, your soul is going to give you answers. All right. So consider this first question. Where have you looked externally for self validation? Notice what I said. Where have you looked externally for self validation? Is that even possible? You looking to the outside to get validation for yourself. So ask yourself, where have you looked to the external to validate you? All right. The next question that I want you to consider is this. Where do you expect drama in your life? In what areas of your life do you always expect for something to be wrong? Is it in some areas of your life or in all areas of your life? Do you just every day, do you just get ready and anticipate wrongness? When you wake up every day and you leave your house, do you just expect for something to go wrong? Be honest about that. These are not easy questions to ask. Why am I presenting them to you? Because I ask myself those questions. Okay? So, another question I want you to consider is where in your life are you experiencing unhappiness and why are you still experiencing the unhappiness? Why is the unhappiness still there? Not what is causing the unhappiness, not who is making you unhappy or what is making you unhappy, but where in your life are you experiencing unhappiness? You see how there is a difference in that energy? Because when you say, where in your life are you experiencing unhappiness? That is still focusing on the internal versus what is making me unhappy. You've given your power away. See the difference? The other question I want you to consider is this: what are you gaining by remaining in something that you know that you have outgrown? Fill in the blank. That something could be anything. That something could be any relationship, whether it's relationship with a family member, a marriage, a significant other, a romantic relationship, a friendship, a business relationship, a job is also a relationship with the city that you live in, the country that you live in. What are you gaining by staying in that something that you know for sure that you have outgrown? You know, you may not always be so sure with your intuition, but in this case, you know that your intuition is saying, okay, when are you going to make a move? Consider those questions. Now, when you embrace your sovereign being, your divinity, you become comfortable with elevation, with evolving, with outward growth, with change, with progression. So you understand, your soul understands that change itself is amazing. Your soul understands that change is not a sad event. Even when something ends, and I talked about this a little bit in part 1, it is not a failure. You are not a quitter for leaving something that you know that you have outgrown. You are evolving. That is your right. That is natural for you as a sovereign being to evolve. That is cosmic. All right? So I'm going to repeat myself here. So whether it's a job, whether it's a business, a career, a friendship, a relationship, a marriage, it's a celebration when a chapter closes. It is a celebration when a chapter closes. So also, when you are now connected with your sovereignty, listen to this. When you are now reconnected with your sovereignty, any unhappiness is examined and it's recognized. It's not even judged. You're not even asking yourself, why are you so unhappy? No, no, no. You're recognizing the unhappiness. I see the unhappiness here. You view the unhappiness as another opportunity to alchemize, okay, by using the raw energy of that unhappiness to bring forth a new and beautiful thing in your physical life. That is a practice. When you make alchemy, alchemizing emotions, alchemizing your feelings, when you make that a practice, you don't attribute the unhappiness to the idea that, well, I guess sometimes in life that happens, which is also a religious programming idea that caused you, that caused you to give your unhappiness to some external God to take care of for you. Well, I'm unhappy, but God's going to take care of it for me. You are the goddess. You are the God that's going to take care of it for you through alchemy. So, as a sovereign being, instead you say, this unhappiness is showing me what I really desire and what I really want in my life. This unhappiness is actually showing me my next step. So away with, I don't know what to do. That unhappiness is showing you exactly what to do. And that unhappiness is showing you where you have settled for less than what you want in your life. So now you use unhappiness to your benefit by speaking exactly what you want, just as your soul is showing you the vision. Not a watered down version, not what your mind in its limited capacity is telling you what is possible, not your mind in its limited capacity telling you what could be possible or telling you what's realistic. No, no, no. You are now speaking your vision exactly as you see it, in its grandiosity, in its amazingness, in its transformative nature, in its cosmic nature, in its quantum nature. You're speaking the vision exactly as your soul is showing it to you. So that was part 2 of how religious programming influences addictive behavior. This 2-part, I knew I wanted to do this in 2 parts, and it took a direction I didn't expect for it to go. But that's what being in your sovereignty, that's what flow looks like as a sovereign being. Yes, you have a plan. Yes, you have ideas, but let your sovereign carry you. Let your intuition, the wisdom of your internal, allow it to flow. So that was an example of what happens. Okay. So anyway, thank you for listening. All right. There's so much more. We have so much more to talk about. I'm so excited about Unleashed Alchemy. I have some new things coming up. I'm getting ready to add some physical products. Okay. All right. So be on the lookout for that. Yes, I am still taking one-on-one clients. Go to unleashedalchemy.com to see what is included in the phases that I take you through when you work one-on-one with me. It is a 24-session package. Just check out the page. You have all the information you need there. Of course, I have ebooks. All right. I'm working on another one. I have individual courses. I'm also working on another course. All right. That are transformational tools as you embrace and live in your sovereign identity in complete freedom. There's no tiptoeing here in your magic. There's no tiptoeing here in your spirituality. You came here packed. You came here packed with jewels of magic, with jewels of healing, with jewels of alchemy that are ready to be expressed in every single part of your life, so that you can see positive transformation in your physical life. All right. So go check out my website, unleashedalchemy.com, and stick around. Tell your friends about the podcast that could use it. Tell your friends, your family, everybody that you know about Unleashed Alchemy and the YouTube channel. All right. So I'm excited. All right. We are doing some big things over here. All right. And we're allowing Unleashed Alchemy to evolve. All right. So stick around. Oh, let me know what your takeaways are from this episode, from this 2-part series. All right. But until next time, be sovereign.